Good afternoon. I am Biko Mani Poto Soktevi. Right now, I'm live from Seattle in the state of Washington, USA. First of all, let me pay homage to the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Dharma, and Ariya Sangha. Again, I would like to pay great respect to three venerable Dhamma speakers who are joining with us today. First, we have Venerable Mangalachoto Sungwati, who currently resides in Camararam in the state of California. And next to him, Venerable Sadul Santi Tato. He also resides in the North California. And we also have Venerable Dhammasiri Samjanti, who currently resides in the Khmer, Arizona, in the state of Arizona. So today we have come up with another very interesting topic entitled the Buddhist concept of peace. So just would like to inform that this program is brought to you by the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in the USA, presided over by Preh Atimani Mangsang, who is the abbot of Wat Munisitaram in the state of Minnesota, USA. And this program mainly and purposefully aims at propagating the Buddha's teaching in English for those who do not understand Khmer language and for those who use English as their first language. So we would like to bring your attention to study and observe on this very specific topic about the Buddhist concept of peace, how Buddhism defines peace, how what are the factors that constitute to the peace, and how Buddhism has played an important role in promoting the Buddhist, in promoting the peace of the world. So today our three Dhamma speakers will be sharing with us their experience, their knowledge based on the Buddha's teaching. So without further ado, first of all, I would like to welcome and say greeting to all honorable three speakers. So I would like to give this first opportunity to Venerable Santi Tato from California. Can you give the definition of the word peace according to the Buddha's teaching, or according to your experience? How do you define peace, Ante?
Good evening, most venerable founders of Cambodian Buddhist Society among in USA, and honestly respects to almost venerables, the participants, and Venerable Sungwati, Venerable Soktevi, and Venerable Semjanti. And I'm honored to be here. And concerning this topic, and I want the first, before response to your questions, I want to explain the word. Here, according to the teachings of the Lord Buddhas, we have two worlds, and one is internal world and another is external world. The internal world here, when the Buddha answers to Rohita Sara, this is the internal world, and the other one is the external world, the loka. The loka is mean the space, the societies that the human beings they live. The other one is the internal world, that is it is the work, it is the essence of the mind that everyone's they need develop things to bring the peace, and the peace also is come from internal developments, not external. And so the world peace here, we come back to the peace according to the teachings of the Lord Buddha here. It is the stills of the minds, the mental concomitants, and when the absence of the unwholesome mental concomitants like hatred, delusions, and violence, and when there is the absence of that unwholesome concomitants, and so the state of the peace is come to the internal world. It's come to the internal world, and then we bring the peace to ourselves first, and then the peace is come to the world. This is according to the teachings of the Lord Buddha. And reference to the Rohitasara, who put the question to what the Buddhas do. He asked the Buddha, is there any place that can walk and he can reach by his own foot? That place there is no suffering, no death, and no hatred. That Rohitasara asked to the Buddha. And the Buddha answered him, to him is the internal world. Because that world is unable to go by the foot. We have to go by the mental development. That is the middle way, like the previous week, the last week, I put this question to Venerable Sungwatis, but not yet got any response. I hope that this week I got response from Venerable Sungwatis about that part, how to practice the middle part and to lead to the peace of the world is concerned with other topics too. And this is the meanings of the peace from the internal world and to external world.
Thank you so much, Pante Sanditato, for giving the definition as far as I can catch up. You gave the definition of the stillness of the mind and the mind property, the mind and its mental factors. So this can be referred to the word peace itself, and you also mentioned about the mental development, that is, so to speak, the peace come from inside the mind, right? So thank you so much for that. I also would like to hear from Venerable Mangalachuto Sengwati, who is right next to you, because your temple are very close to each other. So I would like to hear, like, how the Buddhas define the word peace. So Pante, please.
Thank you so much for this question. Actually, there are a lot of definitions about the word peace, and we can explain from worldly aspect and religious aspect. For normally, we have peace according to worldly aspect. That is when our mind is at ease and we don't crave for anything, especially our minds does not well with the eight certitude, or we call eight whirling dhamma. Eight whirling dhamma, that is happiness and sufferings, gain and loss, criticize and praise. These things, if the mind of the people not well with it, with them, it means our mind is peaceful from worldly perspective. But in Buddhism, I think the word peace is refer to the freedoms from defilements. For example, if our mind is not free from defilement yet, our mind is still wavering. It's not peace, So the true freedom or true peace come out when our mind is free from defilements. When the mind possesses hatred, greed, hatred, delusions, I think there is no peace in our minds. And as you all said just now, wars start from our minds, and peace also can be found only in our minds. We cannot find peace anywhere in the world but in our minds. So Buddhism focuses mainly on our minds to find peace And especially we need to develop our mind to the maximum level in the practice of meditation to calm down. Otherwise, our mind is still wandering here and there, and sometimes it's overwhelmed by angers and so on, and cause a lot of problems. Actually, I think greed, hatred, and delusion are the root cause of all bad things in the world. Yes. When we have the things, the world is not peace, you know, when we have these two, not these three, like greed, hatred, and delusion. These, the three defilements cause a lot of problem in the world. I think war also start from greed, hatred, and delusion. Like Mahatma Gandhi, he said that the world has enough, the world has everything enough for human need, but it is not enough even for a person who is greedy. So the word greed is not so good. When the person is greedy, he can use his greedy mind to create a lot of problems, like to create wars against each other, also because of greed. And anger also, when someone have very strong angers, the anger can destroy both himself and other, and his mind is not peaceful. You know, he always try to find, yeah, like the tactic to attack the person who is his opponent, like that. And for delusion, so most of people, when they have delusion in their minds, they can do bad things, you know, without knowing the cause and effect for what they are doing. That's why this kind of person needs guidance from religions. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving a very detailed definition of the word peace. So I just sum up what you talked so far. So how you define peace is very interesting. You know, you talk about the absence of defilements like greed, hatred, and delusion. It can be called peace in the concept of Buddhism. Also, you raise about the two aspects of peace, like from world perspective and also religious perspective. Now, I would like to turn to Venerable Samjan T. If we talk about peace, we may have different categories of peace. You know, we can divide in different ways. So how would you define peace according to Buddhism, and how many types of peace are there that the Buddha mentioned?
Yeah, thank you very much, Venerable Mani Prataps Devi, that letting me join in this program. Actually, I'm just a operator today to have you meet together to talk on show. Now the questions come along with peace, and two Venerable Mangalachuto and Santitato has already mentioned in both wordlings and religious concept about the peace. Now, if we look at the word peace in English, it means freedom from disturbances. When there is no disturbances, there is no fight, there is nothing to discuss about fighting or confusing or controversies. This is called peace. I remember one song was written by American soldier after they returned from Vietnam-US war in 1962. I don't know the titles of that songs, maybe Candle of the Wind, candle on the wind or something. I'm not sure, but there is a stanza say that if there is no war, yeah, imagine there is no war, no fighting, no border. Imagine there is no border. So people can gather together and people can travel from place to place. People can go, can do whatever they can to practice, to live with peaceful. To live with peaceful means to live without any harms, without any disturbances, without any worry, without any suffer, without any lamentation, without any unsatisfactoriness. This is called peace, according to that song and according to the English word that we defined. And in Buddhism, from very beginning, that you remember that we talked maybe a week ago, we talked about triple gems. After the Buddha preached his first sermon, there is Yasa. Yasa means Yasa, the sons of Sujata. Yeah, Sujata come to meet the Buddha at night because he was so disturbed by worldly thing, and he walking direct to Isipatana Magadaya Vana, and he said it is so not calm. It's so disturbed. It is so how to say, it is not stillful, not stay still and not still, and it is so confusing. And he walked and he saying something, and the Buddha said that he is not confusing, he is not disturbances, please come here and sit. And the Buddha teach him the way not going to disturb the mind, and he realized the truth and become an arahant at that time. So the Buddha at that time just only give him about the Four Noble Truth. It is the free of suffering. When we free of suffering, there is no disturbances. There is a peace. But after that, 9 months after Buddha enlightenment, we celebrate Magha Puja. The Buddha already mentioned Kanti Paramang Tapo Titikha. Titikha means peace. So Titikha means peace. But what, how we define the peace? In Nagala Sutta, Nagala Mata and Nagala Pita, who the famous couple in the Buddha's time, when Nagala Pita, very old Brahmin, approached Buddha, and the Buddha say, "How are you?" Something like that, and he said, "I'm good, but I'm so disturbed. I'm so disturbed." But the Buddha mentioned that the body can be disturbed by sickness, by old age, but your mind should not be disturbed. And the mind not disturbed is by defilement, by craving. So when you control by you control your mind and distract your mind from defilement, from distraction, from grasping, from craving, so your mind will not disturb. It is the Buddha mentioned. And through practice, basically, basic peace, you have to practice by bodily action, by verbal action, and by mental action. So peace here, that I summarize my definition: peace, bodily peace, verbal peace, and mind and mental peace. So when we control our body and we control our speech and we control our mind properly, so we gain peace. So peace is a freedom of disturbances from unwholesome through bodily, verbal, and mental action. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Sam Janti, for giving a summary of the definition of how Buddhism, define the word peace, as you said, the freedom from disturbances, and based on the freedom, in terms of physical, verbal, and mental. So it is interesting. We should also, be aware that when a person is at peace or when a person becomes peaceful, so what are the ways that constitute the person to be at peace, to be peaceful? In Buddhism, as we remember one phrase that Nati Santi Parang Sukhang. So the Buddha also placed an important about the peace. There is no other happiness greater than peace. But how are we to generate peace? How peace come into existence? Venerable Sanditato, is there any way to arouse peace? How peace come into existence? Please go ahead. You're mute. Yeah. Still mute. Okay.
Yes, thank you for the question, sir. As you just mentioned now, the absence state of the mind from the delusions, the craving, and the hatred, and this we define as the peace. This is the internal peace. And so how to make the peace through our minds, and so there must be the ways to develop our minds from that craving according to the teachings of the Lord Buddha. And as we all know the four sublime teachings of the Lord Buddha, and all the Brahma, we see the statues of the Brahma with the four faces directing to the four directions, facing to the four directions. So it represents the Brahma represent the peace to the world. And so the meanings of the four faces here, it maybe the four sublime teachings. The first one is when one person develop that four teachings, and all the peace states of the minds come to that person. And so the first one is the loving kindness. We call metta in the Pali language. This is the loving kindness. The loving kindness is able to eliminate the unwholesome state, the unwholesome concomitants, the akosala cetasika. That the loving kindness is eliminate the tosa, right? It eliminates the hatred, the ill will, tosa. Whenever the loving kindness comes to one person, and the tosa is disappeared at that time, and so the state of his mind calm down. It is only 1 point. We still have another three. And the second one is karuna. Karuna, it is the compassion through the suffering beings. When we see the being, they confront with the suffering, or in the misery of their life, and so we develop compassion towards that being by develop our physical actions, the verbal actions. For example, we speak the sweet word. We use the good word for what that person's. The one good word is like a medicine to kill those who got the mental ill. So we use our sweet words to comfort those suffering beings. We call compassion. And the third one, the third of the four is mudita. The mudita is functions to eliminate the jealous. And the more we develop the mudita, the sympathies towards those beings who got success or in prosperity in their life, or they become the rich, they succeed. We are not jealous to that being. We sense or we share our pleas to rejoin with them, with their success. This is the third state of the mind. We share to them as well as to ourselves. And the fourth one of that is the equanimity. That is very important in one society. As we mentioned, the Brahma, okay, we go through. The Brahma have 7 daughters. And why we have 7 daughters, Brahma? That 7 daughters is represent of the 7th day, the 7th day of a week. So it means that every day is there. It's need, every day is need that for sublime teachings to protect the world. Without that for sublime teachings, the world going to be burned. And so that's why the Cambodian people used to say that 7 daughters take turns to carry the head of the Brahma, not to pour down to the world. It means that this world is unable to sustain without the loving kindness, compassion, sympathies, and equanimity. This 4 things is really important for the human being and for every beings, animal too. Without these 4 teachings, it's going to be the war, like nowadays in some country, like for example in Burma, as we see that maybe like of that's 4 teachings. So that's why it take place. The war is take place. So that is the factors that to be developed to bring the peace to the world. The first time is bring the peace to ourselves, the internal world, and after that it's sold to the world, to the local, to the communities, to the society. And this is the factor according to the teachings of the Lord Buddha.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Pante. I think I'm very interested about when you talk about like peace start from, you know, individual, and then it spread to the community and to the world at large. I remember one of the slogan, you know, used by our most venerable scholar by the name of Samdech Mahakosananda. As today or yesterday in Cambodia, we you know, kind of remember the day he passed away for 14 days. He talked about when you make peace with yourself, you make peace with the world, you know. So it is so important to start peace with yourself, and especially when the world is you know, in darkness, when the world is you know, in you know, unrest, war. So to be at peace starting from individual perspective is so important, so that one can generate, you know, to the larger scale, like community and the world. And Venerable Singwati, what can you say about that when we talk about the source of peace, where peace comes from, and in a country like Burma or in Thailand, you know, the Buddhist country right now are having some, you know, unrest, war, or can be a civil, dispute or something. How can Buddhism, give the way to generate peace, to give the peaceful solution to the problem that has been arising? I mean, in terms of, Buddhist perspective, how can we build peace when there is war in, throughout the places?
Yeah. Thank you for this question. You hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. You also just now asked the way how to generate peace. I think first we need to generate peace through our mental development in the practice of concentration. And when our mind is concentrated, it means we have peacefulness in our minds. Okay. And just now, also Venerable Sudan said that when we have peace in our self, we can spread this peace to our community, to our families, and to the world also. And according to whatever Buddha taught, the main point to generate peace, I think, like Venerable Sudan just now also mentioned, is the four sublime state. Four sublime state. It's called Brahma Viharatama. If the worlds with these four kind of sublime states, there will be wars. Like if, especially the leader, including the parent, leader of the children, teacher, leader of the student, and leader of the countries. If this kind of leader without the four sublime states, there will be a lot of problem in his family, in his community, and under his leadership as well. That's why I think the four sublime state is really the top most to develop peace also, or to keep peace, to maintain peace like that. If the leader doesn't have loving kindness, compassion, appreciated joys, and equanimities, there will be war against each other, and they create a lot of problems in society as well. So the four sublime state is very important to maintain peace. I think the teaching of the Buddha is very important. If we ask that, why is in Buddhist country also have wars, fightings, unrest? That is a science concerned with politics, but Buddhism and politics is different. The main purpose of religion of Buddhism is to get rid of our mind from greed, hatred, and delusion, and to attain peace and happiness, and finally attain Nibbana. But the purpose of politics is to gain power and to get dignity, to promote high ranks. That's why when they have this idea to compete with each other, they create a lot of problems, because the lack of contentment, in the politics, they lack of contentment. They never satisfy whatever they have. They try to develop it more and more. They try to develop their cravings higher and higher. That's why it create a lot of problem in society, because cravings greed and hatred is really the root cause of problem in society. So the purpose of Buddhism and the politics is so different, quite different from each other. If we use the teaching of the Buddha in politics, the politics will be very good. But if we use the politics or we put the politics into Buddhism or the teaching of the Buddha, it will be the base or defiles the teaching of the Buddha. Not good, you know. It invites a lot of problem to society. That's why I think in politics, it should be used the teaching of the Buddha to guide the leaders to know what should be done and what not should be done, and what is a real thing that we all want in this human world. Otherwise, there are a lot of problems, and sometimes the problem creates from the minds of the person who is greedy. I think that is the main point also. Greedy is the cause to generate unrest and wars. That's why we need to know that we need to develop our minds to be peaceful and develop our mind to get rid of defilements so that we can control it to be peaceful all the times. And if we control our minds or develop our minds by practicing meditation all the times, the outside defilements such as greed, hatred, and delusion will not have the chance to inflict our minds. When the defilements have no chance to inflict our mind will be peaceful. When we are peaceful, I think we can use the power of our peacefulness to spread it to other people in the world as well. And Buddhism, you know, Buddhism really likes peacefulness and also harmony and also non-violence. Buddhism does not support this violence and this harmony, but they try to maintain peace and to live in harmony with other people. I think in any country, either they are Buddhist country or non-Buddhist country, when war happens, it is not the fault or the offense or the mistake of Buddhism. It is a mistake of untrained mind of the person, you know, especially when the leader has not trained his mind to know what is right, to know what is wrong, and to know what is good to be done and not is not it's good not should not be done like that. So there will be problem in his leadership. Yeah, create a lot of problems. Sometimes like war. You know, and they don't care about any lives of the people or life of the people or other being like that. They just want something to satisfy their desire, and that's why we need to train our minds to have morality. When we have high ranks, we have high knowledge, we need to develop our mind to have virtue. Otherwise, it will be dangerous for ourselves and for others and for the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bante. I think it's very interesting. And we talk about the war and the peace based on the concept of Buddhism, as Buddhism does not any kind of violence, any kind of life destruction. As we see even in the 5 precepts, the Buddha first of all placed important about refraining from harming and killing, each other based on, to obtain something. We should not harm one another. So that's why Buddhism, is the religion that talks very often about peace, how to build peace for individual as well as for the world. But it's, as you mentioned, it should start from ourselves, and Venerable Sanden also talk about the 4 ways of training the mind in order to accommodate peace, like the metta, loving friendliness, loving kindness. We have to practice this to each other on a daily basis, the compassion, sympathetic joy, and the mind of equanimity. And so Venerable Sungvati also plays some important about the 4 sublime dhammas, as well as training our mind with morale training, meditation, and wisdom, so that we can create more peace for ourselves. When one is well trained, when one's mind is well trained, is peaceful, only then we can spread peace throughout the places. So I would like to turn to Venerable Samjanti, as Venerable Sungvati remind about, Buddhism does not support any kind of war that happened in the world. So it reminded me about the story of the Goliath and the Sakya, who have been fighting for some times. And one day the extreme war was about to happen. So the Buddha knew it's gonna cause a lot of destruction of life. So he went there and prevented the war from happening. But I would like to know the method, how the Buddha used, in how the Buddha prevented the war, based on that story. So Venerable Samjanti might remember about that. And I would like also to relate about, in that story, we may relate with the 10 kinds of Dasa Raja Dhamma, the 10 duties of the king, because in the Buddha's time, there were some kings who ruled the kingdom unjustly, unrighteously. So that's why, like Venerable Sungvati said, it's not about just individual, with the mind training or well trained, but it is so important when we train our mind. So when we get promoted to a higher rank, like we are in charge of the country, in charge of the offices. So being a leader of the community, it is so important to have our mind trained. Otherwise, if it is rooted with evil, with harm thought, it is so dangerous, because we could kill a lot of people, in terms of, on terms of our position. So I would like to turn to Venerable Samjanti. Maybe you can relate about that, about the story of the Sakya and Goliath, how the Buddha prevented the war, or maybe from other suttas as well, please.
Thank you for the question. Yeah. So from our first question that we talk about the definitions of the peace. So we already mentioned that peace generates from one's own action. So when one's practice loving kindness, like two Venerable mentions about the 4 sublime states of living, Brahma Vihara, and about the Venerable moderators explain about Panchasila, the 5 precepts. It is the first step that we can go further to the peaceful mind, peaceful country, peaceful world. Because we imagine that if there is no war, it means if there is no harming to other living beings. So there is also no fighting and no hatred and no jealousy. All of these things, the basics that we have to learn. So in Buddhism, if we just talk only 5 precepts, it's a very, very basic, very ordinary teaching of the Buddha that usually simply to everyone, to all living beings. We just say about the 5 precepts. If living being practice 5 precepts, there is no war. There is no jealousy. There is no hatred. So it is peaceful if they practice. And Venerable Sadun mentioned about Myanmar today. It is also because they don't practice the 5 precepts. They don't observe that. If they observe 5 precepts, abstain from taking life, to killing any living beings. So there is no harm. Yeah. If he observed, the leader observed the second precept, not to steal any other belonging. They control their desire. It is related to karuna, control their desire. So they can also, the country also can be peaceful. But in opposite way, they don't practice. So that's why strike and harmings and peaceful in the country. Like we see today, we're so sorry about that. Even the Buddhist country, we consider Myanmar is the very strong practice country, Buddhist practice country, because Myanmar teach the absolute truth, the Abhidhamma, very well and deep than other country, than other Buddhist country. But they still have that. Why? Because the leader did not practice. The leader still stick with the roots of problem, the roots of fighting, the roots of war. And what are the roots of war? Lobha, it means greed. They still greedy. Dosa, hatred. They have no compassion. Moha, they still not understand the happiness of their family and their country and the world. They still want to gain without any limitation. The power or the wealthy, something. And related to the war that the families of the Buddha, like Sakya and Golya, and also related to the Sakya were destroyed by Kosala king, Vidudapet, that we learned about the story. So the Buddha just mentioned first about how to understand oneself. Understand oneself means we have to respect each other. The Buddha started with also to understand oneself and to control their action. If they understand oneself, they respect the human being, they respect the human right, so they will not fight. Just only because of water, you know, Sakya and Golya, just only water. Why they fight? Why they fight each other? Just only of water for their battlefield, for their agriculture. So they fight it. They don't know how to share each other. They want just take it under one part control. Even though they are family, they are related. So that's why the Buddha said in Attatanda Sutra, the Buddha said, Attatanda Payanjanya. It means all of this war, all of this fear generate from oneself. Attadanda, it means fear from oneself. So all of the fear because of oneself, with greed, with desire, with hatred, and with no respect to each other. This is how the Buddha advised. I don't remember all the stanza, but the Buddha said from Attatanda Payanjanya, it means the fear derived from one's own action. If one control their mind, their body, they speak properly. According to their story, you see only water flowing on the borders of that two kingdoms. And they start from speech. They harass each other. And the family, the clans of their leader is Sakya and Gaudya the same. They come from the same clans. So they harass to each other, and then they get angry, they get hate, and then they lost their control. They don't respect any clan, they don't respect any king, even his king or other king, even the Buddha, they don't respect. So from one cell and from very beginning, body, speak, and mind is very important. That the Buddha said you have to control your body action, your speak, and your thinking. If you control these three things, the peace will exist in everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pante Dhammasiri, for contributing some of the ideas from different perspectives based on the Buddhist 5 precepts. They are very important idea to keep in mind that in order to have peace, originate, or in order to build peace, Buddhist 5 precept is so compulsory. Without it, like the first precept is so important. That's why the Buddha placed the focus on refraining from harming or killing any other's life. So when you relate to the story of the Goliyas between the Sakyas, that having the dispute over over the land of water. So it is important to respect each other. So when we talk about the respect to each other, is the respect of life. We should respect the life of one another. Suppose if we were to fight each other, there are a lot of people going to be killed, and what use is there to lose one's life but just to get water? So if we were to compare about it, when the Buddha trying to explain them, you want water or you want life, which one is more important, the life or the water? Yeah, so that I think that's the idea that we should take in mind for whatever is happening in the world today, like in the concept of some country who have long unrest, war. So when we talk about war, it's not always good. I mean, it's always about something bad. People hate war. Nobody loves war, because when the war happening, it must destroy something, even not much, at least to kill some people, So it is useless to die, in order to get something which not worth to the life of people. Suppose when you get what you want, but you lose your life. So what is use in there to get something you want and you don't live to enjoy that? That's why the Buddha explained about the importance, as we have life rather than getting what we want. So I think this is so important idea to keep in mind, because we're trying to learn something that taught in the teaching of Buddhism. So the history is repeated itself, from the Buddha's time 2,100 years back, but the lesson is still the same, right? The world is rotating, repeating again and again, war and peace and war. So we're struggling with the idea war is happening. So how can we prevent war? What are the constituents to the peace? So again, I would like to turn to Venerable Santi Tato about Buddhism again, in the name of Buddhism, or as we have a lot of teachings that the Buddha taught based on, training oneself physically, verbally, and mentally in order to build peace. Can you give any suggestion, how Buddhism has contributed to the peace of the world? So any idea on that, how Buddhism contributed to the peace of the world? You're on mute.
Thank you for your questions. And first, I want to say it's really interesting for Venerable Sungwatis concerning with the Buddhisms and the fault. It said that in some country, even the Buddhist countries, but still have the war. And they said that it starts from their personal, the mental state. So it is not the fault of Buddhism. So it means that atta hi attano nato ko hinato paroshya. And one is one own salvation. There is no any other. So one tries to understand and develop oneself, to bring the peace to oneself before sharing to others. When he really understands who he is and where he is come from and what he needs, and this is the peace from his own life. And so this peace will come to others too. He knows that other people also need the peace like himself. And this is really important. I'm really interested about Venerable Sun what he's about that point. Thank you, Venerable Sun what he. And as from my personal opinion here, I think as a Buddhist monk, to prevent the war or to preach that to deal with the war, it's really for a Buddhist monks to do that, because as we live independently and we are the examples of the other, so we try to encourage the people not to commit the stealing, killing, and explain them about the effect for the next existence. Because some people with the moha, that's Venerable Sentanti just explained, because of moha, they not believe, not know that where they will go. And so with the moha, they can commit a lot of the bad action, like stealing, killing, sexual misconduct, intoxication. And even they have the wrong view, they not believe in the next existence. And that is we call the Ocheda Ditti in Pali. There is no next existence. And so this is the cause that bring them to the misery world. When one not believe, so they can do everything according to their design. The sensual desire, whatever they want, even stealing or taking the life of other, that because of moha. They don't know. And so when they come to the misery world, they have not changed to come back and tell to the people. They have no change to come back. Thus they have to suffer a lot on that world. As the Buddhist monks, we try to explain them clearly about the precept, the 5 precepts, as well as the way to develop, and how we are talking about the way to develop and now how to develop it. I mean that what kinds of the weapons that we use to kill all the hatred, to eliminate the hatred, to eliminate the ignorance, to eliminate the illusions. Suppose we want to go to another banks of the ocean, we have to use the boat. But now we want to overcome the hatred, we want to overcome the delusions, we want to overcome the ignorance. And so what kinds of the weapons that we use to fight with it? As there must be some mental state of the mind maybe. And even there, developing the way to develop. And so according to the teachings of the Lord Buddha, we have the weapons, the most strong weapon is the viriya, the effort. That is the effort, viriya. And how many factors in the viriya? I mean, for the 4th factor, Sangvara Patana is the first factor. Sangvara Patana, the first factors that to prevent the bad, the unwholesome action to exceed, to happen. We use all our effort and to reflect and to develop the loving kindness, not to let the unwholesome state, not to let the unwholesome action happen. That is the first factor, the effort, the right effort. The Buddha said, Samma Viriya. It can be regarded as the Samma Viriya, the right effort, the effort to prevent the bad things not to happen. And the second effort is Bahana. Bahana. Patana. In Pali, Bahana, Patana, it means that tries to eliminate the unwholesome action already happened. Like someone that have the habit of smoking, or, or someone that have the habits of stealing, someone that have the habits of misconduct. And so we put our strong effort, like the weapon. The Buddha said that the effort is the weapons to kill all that delusion, hatred. And so our effort to put forward to kill it. And so that is the second Sangvara Patana, to prevent or to take it away, the unwholesome action. For example, yesterday, someone they smoke maybe 5 cigarettes per day, and the second day maybe they smoke 1 cigarette. That is enough. And for the next time, maybe no need to smoke. This is the way to decrease, to prevent Bahana Sangvara. That is the Bahana Sangvara. How is the third thing and the third factor of the effort? The third factor of the effort is the Pavana Patana. As I remember, Pavana Patana is mean that to accumulate the good things that not yet happened and try to push it, like to do the charity, to practice meditations, to cultivate loving kindness, and to share compassion to other beings, as well as to ourselves, because ourselves really an example for other people. And at this point, I want to explain. I want to say that the Buddha also said that Nati Atta Samapiya. There is no any other person that love ourselves ever, that love us than ourselves. We love ourselves first. The Lord Buddha mentioned that when we love ourselves, so we know how the other people they love themselves. This is a very important point. So that is the third point of the right effort, Samma Viriya. And the fourth factor, how about the fourth factor? To maintain. We put the effort to maintain the whole something already happened, not to let it go, not to let it go. For example, today, Venerable Sungwati have do the good charity, and next time Venerable Sungwati going to do more, to put more effort to do the nation more. That is the thing that we have to maintain, is to do it again, to maintain the good things, not to let it go. And thank you. This is the difference, the way to distribute, to bring the peace to the society.
Thank you so much. I think it was very well put. You just mentioned about the right efforts, which has 4 factors, 4 ways in order to, 2 is to, to protect the unwholesome from arising, and also to eliminate the already arisen unwholesome state of the mind. And the other 2 sides, one is to develop good that has not been developed, and last one is to maintain the good that has already been performed. So it is also so important in terms of building the peace. When we want to build peace with the world, we should first train ourselves. Of course, nobody is perfect, right? We always have the weak point. We always have the negative idea and harmful thoughts toward others. So it is so compulsory to start with ourselves first by trying to, put the right effort in refraining ourselves from doing wrong, and also to develop the goodness into ourselves. So that is one way Venerable Santitato put it. how Buddhism contributed to the peace of the world is starting by, developing oneself and with the 4 kinds of right efforts as taught in the teaching of the Noble Eightfold Path. So now let me turn to Venerable Sungwati. What is your idea about how Buddhism has contributed to the peace of the world, as Buddhism is very well known in terms of, the religion who holds peace very close and very popular, in the teachings of the Buddha. It is so well known to the world that Buddhism is a religion of peace. So what kind of, Dharma or message of peace that Buddhism has contributed to the world? Mute.
Okay, I think when we talk about peace, it really related with the word war. So when we talk about peace, we also talk about war, right? But in the Buddha teaching, the Buddha said, hatred is never ceased by hatred, but hatred can be seized only by love. Yeah, the Buddha said like that. When you have hatred, you have angers, you generate war or trouble in society. And it never ends by hatred, only by love. So if we love each other, there will be peace, So I think we should love each other to stop the war. That's why in one phrase in English language, it says, if the power of love overcome the love of power, the world will have peace. Like a story about wars happened at the Sakya and Kalita clans at the Rohini rivers. One side are greedy than other. They want to occupy the waters much more than other side. That's why they are greedy and they want to get more and more. And at the time the war happened, because everyone want to get more than each other. And because of that greed, they kill each other. And when the Buddhas come to meet them to solve a problem, the Buddha just asked the question to both sides. The Buddha asked them, is your blood and the waters in Rohini River, which one is more valuable than? And that times, both sides of the people realize that, the bloods of both sides of the people are more valuable than the water in the river. When they realize that, they stop killing each other, they stop quarrel each other. Yes, the Buddha just raised a question like that. For example, in the same way, if war happens in any country, it starts a lot of problems to arise in that place. So I think war start by beginnings to be greedy about powers, about gains or high rank like that. And when they want that thing too much and they want to win others, they kill those who try to obstruct their wish. And they just try to do something to get what they want. But actually, whatever we want is not under our control all the time, because in the teaching of the Buddha, everything is impermanent. Even though we get something that is very special in our life, but finally we need to release it or abandon it. And whatever can follow us only merit and demerit after this. So no gain, no high rankings, no fame, importance for us when we face this. So everything is, you know, is loose when we come to face with the death. You can lose our fames, our high ranks, and our properties, everything. We need to lose it or left it in front of this. So we should know we want to get power, and before we get power, we try to do our best thing to get that power. Even though killing, we dare to do it, but we should know between the power and the life of the people, which one is more valuable than each other. For example, according to Buddhism, if you kill others in this existence, in next existence, you will be killed by other too, because the cost and of the action can give the result in the fit way. Okay, if you kill the other people will kill you. If not this life, it will be next life, like that. So we should know that we should not love power too much. We should love our country, our peoples. And when war happens, it is not a mistake of religion, as I mentioned earlier. In every country have war, even in Muslim country, Christian country, and Buddhist country, still have war. And wars does not happen because of religion. I think I mentioned that wars happen because of the untrained minds of the people. When their minds are full of greed, hatred, and illusion, surely they will have war or quarrels with other people, or with between the country and another country, like that. So especially the minds of the leader, when the mind of the leader are overwhelmed by greed, hatred, and illusion, that under his leadership will generate a lot of problem or war and so on, because he wants to control everything in only his one own hand, not let it go for other. That's why our mind is very important. We need to train our minds to know what is enough or not enough, like that. I think war and peace should be balance each other. Don't love to generate war, and also we should love to generate peace, because when we have peace, we can live live with each other in harmony. We don't kill each other. So I think the value of peace is more important than war. Like in one story, like Jataka, Devadatta and Sattata, Prince Sattata, quarrel each other because Devadatta, he killed the swan. He shoot the swan, and then the swan fall down from the sky. At the time, Prince Sattata saw that, oh, this one is shot with arrow by other. And then he came to pick the swans, And Devadatta said, no, this ones belong to me because I shoot it. It must my swan. It's not yours. And at the time, Prince Devadatta said that, oh, it's belong to me because I picked it up. Yeah, so it belong to me, not belong to you. Then they have quarrel between each other, and both the prince, Devadatta and Sattata, brought to justice in front of the judicial, right? In front of the judge. And when they quarrel each other like this, the Devadatta said that, oh, this one is belong to me because I'm a suitor. And Prince Dada said that it's belong to me because I cured the wounds of this swan. So it should belong to me because I take care the life of living beings. No one's give value to the destruction of the life of other, but they should give value to the one who take care of the life of living beings. That's why in Buddhist concept, they give the person who take care of the lives, avoid killing of the life is the winner, you know.
Yeah.
But for those who destroy the life of other is the loser, because this two things is difficult to accept, you know, like um, especially for the one who killing others. Even though he had the power to kill other, but he dislike other to kill himself, you know. That's why we should know no one's want other to treat badly on us, right? So if we know that we don't want other to treat badly on us, we also should not treat badly on others, and we should take care each other to avoid killing, because both our lives and other lives are valuable the same, equal each other. Not one life is bad and the other life is good, but it have the same value, because life is valuable for all living beings, not just for one side of living beings. I think so. So we should give value to the one who take care life, or to serve someone, or to cure someone, to help lives, more than the one who distract the life of other living being.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bhante, Honorable Sinwati, for sharing a great detail about how Buddhism has contributed to the peace of the world. So I just want to clarify, you know, the audience who just come and watch might get, you know, wondering like, the topic is talking about the peace, why the monks keep talking about war and war, you know. I think this is so related issue. When we want to build the peace, we must know the root cause of why peace is important, you know, why peace is important. In Buddhism, we can call it a peace only when there is no disturbances, not just in terms of in the mind of people, but also in terms of the, you know, harmonization of the country, of the state. You know, if the state has, you know, unrest, political dispute, unrest, political massacre, so there is no peace. So that is why when we talk about the concept of peace, we must relate with the idea of war, because when there is war, there is no peace, right? So war starts from the evil, wicked mind, greedy mind, hatred mind, and deluded mind of the people. So peace also must build from the non-hatred, non-greed, and non-delusion of the people's mind, right? So we can find the source where, or the root where the war come from. So also we can, you know, put an end to the war so that we can obtain peace instead. So it reminds me when the Srimati talk about, you know, greed, lopa, attachment, desire to gain something, like to gain power, to sustain one's rank and occupation. This is the root cause of the war in the world, you know. So the war in the world started from human's greed, just like you raised about the Mahatma Gandhi of India. His slogan was very popular. He said, the world has everything the man's need, but it's not enough even for one man's greed. So it's like in the teaching of the Buddha, you know, lopa, attachment. When we talk about the, you know, dependent origination, the law of cause and effect, the paticca samuppada, and also in the samudaya satya, ariya satya, the root cause of every problem stem from our greed. So even, you know, when greed is much installed, is much deeply rooted in the heart of people, it will follow by hatred, because it has been sponsored or crowded by delusion, moha, you know. So moha is like the big boss behind the things, and then lopa, which attached to things, like we want this, we want that, so that problems started to arise, like in the case of the Goliya and the Sakya, because they desire, they crave for water, they crave for belongings, they want to own things for themselves. So that's how the hatred started between man, you know, between humanity. So it should end, you know, with non-hatred, like we try to develop metta, compassion. So I just would like to raise that the stanza or the verses Venerable Srimati has just mentioned about never by hatred is hatred appeased, but it is appeased by kindness, by love. This is the internal truth. This is the eternal law. Nahi verena verani samantita kudajanang averena ja samantita esa dhammo sanantano. So this is from the Yamaka Vaka, the verse 5 of the Dhammapata Takatha. And so in another Dhammapata, verse 223 from the story of Uttara Upasika Vatu, you know. So the Buddha expounded about Ako Tena Jine Ko Tang Asatung Satuna Jine Jine Katariyang Danena Sajena Dika Vandinang. One should win anger through kindness. One should win wickedness through goodness, selfishness through charity, and falsehood through truthfulness. So I think this idea is so important to maintain, to build the peace, you know, when we don't put an end to our hatred, to our falsehood, to our, you know, evil action, so we will not find peace. So again, I would like to turn Venerable Sam Chanti as we run out of time. So the last question to the last speaker about how the Buddha or how Buddhism has contributed to the peace of the world. So Venerable, what is your idea on that?
Thank you for the final question for me. I think we discussed for this such a time, so our audience can catch our topics about the peace and the war. What I want to share now, just only more explain on our speakers about how to control our action toward the world peace. So in Buddhism, there is one stanza Buddha said, Atanang upamangatva. So it is the meaningful that all our speakers mentioned in various corner, but Atanang upamangatva is cover that speaking. Because when we control, when we understand oneself, Attanang upamangatva, we have to understand oneself first. So like Venerable Siddhan said, Attahi Atano Nathu, it is when we have one own refuge, we understand oneself. When we understand oneself, that we need peace, we need happiness. So others people also, other being also need happiness and need peace. So, but how to control? How to control that? So we have to know oneself, and we have to control oneself by satisfaction. Satisfaction is very important. If we control our mind to enough with what we have, to satisfy with what we can, we limit our greed. So it is the way. If we have one house, so we satisfy with our house. If we want more, we have to practice in a long goodness to get one more, not to overcome, not to over the rule and fight or steal or make a bad action or bad thing to get that house, another house. So when we satisfy, Santoti Tanang Siddhan, So our satisfaction is very important. It's the highest treasures of our of human being. So it is very important. So just only we control our greed by satisfaction. We understand that, and we just take ourselves as example. If we take ourselves as example, so we cannot make harm thing. We cannot harm others. So by without harming other, we bring peace to our own selves and other beings. So this is just only simple thing, but in Buddhism there is many classification from the basic to the ultimate. So from basic, you just don't kill other, you find peace for yourself and for other. So if you don't fight, if you don't take other belongings, so you give peaceful and you give wealthy to others, and also in the world. And the Buddha does not only say in this world, like our speaker mentioned, we said we discuss, we tell to other world also. So when we do a good thing, when we practice good thing, you will gain the happiness in other realm, other existence. And finally, the Buddha said, Sankharupa samang sukhan. We seize all the combination thing, all action, even good action, bad action. So we will gain absolute peace. So when one gain absolute peace, one will never return to make any problem in the world. So this is the Buddha in the Buddha dispensation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bhante Dhammasiri, for sharing a great contribution. Of course, in the teaching of Buddhism, there are so many Dhamma, so many teachings and aspects that the Buddha give on different occasions to different people, that, on their personal status, as well as for those who in the leadership of the community, to hold dear and near some kind of Dhamma that can, uphold peace, develop peace and prevent the war. So you also raised about, Attanang Upamangkatva, when we take ourselves as comparison, we love ourselves the most. So do others. That's why we shouldn't harm other living beings. We shouldn't be happy, over the sorrow of others, right? When we want something, to grab power in our hand by killing the lives of others. So what use is there? What worth is there in doing so? So this is kind of reflection that we reflected from the story, Jataka story of the Buddha, that he prevented the war between the kingdom, between the classes of people. So he was a social reformist who put the idea, of how the social should go, instead of going that way, as it will cause a lot of distraction to many lives and also to the society at large. So the Buddha was not meant to, play the political game or on the political arena, but he was just paying attention to how, he can build peace for the people, because he appreciate the value of life, as we have been born as human being. It is the rarity, one of the rarity, right? Having been born as a humanity. So we should appreciate the life we have and be grateful for it. And we should develop more goodness instead of doing bad. So that's why this is the idea of the topic, the Buddhist concept of peace. So I would like to conclude today's program by citing the very popular slogan from Mahatma Gandhi of Cambodia, not India. So far we have talked about Mahatma Gandhi of India. Now we talk about the slogan of Mahatma Gandhi of Cambodia, Venerable His Holiness Samdech Mahakosananda, who has been, always my role model, whom I look up to and always appreciate what he has contributed to the peace of the world. So he has a lot of slogans that are very popular, like I have mentioned earlier about when you make peace with yourself, you make peace with the world. So it's all, according to the teachings of the Buddha, that we should start to build peace from individual level up to the world level. And then another, I would like to conclude with this slogan of peace, because during that time, most of the country are facing with the war, not just Cambodia, but in many countries in the world, that we all as humanity have been through a lot of hardship in the past, the World War I, the World War II, a lot of massacre, killings of millions of lives has happened in the names of humanity. So that's why a lot of theories, a lot of slogan that has been raised by the most popular human beings on this universe, like Mahatma Gandhi of Cambodia, Venerable Mahakusananda. He said that the suffering of Cambodia has been deep. From this suffering comes great compassion. So it is so important. From great suffering comes great compassion. Great compassion makes a peaceful heart. A peaceful heart makes a peaceful person. A peaceful person makes a peaceful family. A peaceful family makes a peaceful community. A peaceful community makes a peaceful nation. A peaceful nation makes a peaceful world. May all beings live in happiness and peace. So thank you so much, everyone, for following and watching our live show until the end. And I also would like to apologize for any unintentional mistake that might happen during our show due to our inability or the lack of knowledge or unintentional faults. So I would like, before the end, I would like to share the merit arise from our Dhammatana contributions of the Dhamma today to the world. May all beings in the universe live happy, be free from physical harm and mental harm, and may peace prevail on us. May the teachings of the Buddha spread in every corner, so that the lives of humanity as well as all beings be free and liberated from suffering. So finally, also again, thanks you everybody. Thanks you all the three speakers, Venerable Sam Janti live from Wat Khmer, Arizona, Venerable Mangalachoto Sengwati live from Wat Kemararam, North California, and Venerable Santi Tato Sen Sadul live from North California as well. Thank you for joining, and thanks you everybody. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Goodbye for today.